Hey, welcome to this video. You heard it, you saw it again. Last week, February 14th, Parkland, Florida. High school, approximately 3,000 students. Young guy comes in, 19 years old. He opens fire, 17 are killed, many more are injured. Once again, the violence in America. This happens regularly now. We hear about it in schools, we hear about it in churches, the Las Vegas shooting. And it's not just guns, knives in shopping malls, or New York City, a terrorist, Islamic terrorist, rents a truck, drives down a sidewalk, kills several people, injures many more. This is a problem. It's called people out of control when it comes to violence, right? But there's a deeper problem behind that. Now, right now, the gun control advocates are going crazy. I mean, they're coming unhinged. They're doing everything they can to shove their agenda down every American's throat. And they're using some of these high school students. They're exploiting them in many ways to try to make this happen. And you can't say a word against this, because if you do, you're insensitive towards these students who suffered through this. And it's tragic. There's no question about it. It's a horrific, terrible, tragic event. Every single time it happens, it's a horrific, terrible, tragic event. No question about it. But the one issue that nobody wants to talk about, really the key issue nobody wants to talk about, not gun control, that's not the issue. It's not even mental health. We got the violence coming at us through video games, television, the mockery of fatherhood and TV shows and movies, the foul language. How about the comment section that we see in social media? The language that we use towards one another in the comment section. We see this all around us. There is a decline in morality. The problem that nobody wants to talk about is the fact that we are moving further and further away from God, and we're allowing this chaos to take us over in many different ways. I mean, think about this. We have, for the first time in the last couple of years, the group called the Nuns, not N-U-N-S, the N-O-N-E-S. I got no faith. What's your faith? I got none. Right? That group is growing faster than Christians across America. This doesn't resonate with people enough to realize that the further we move away from God, the further we move into the I don't need God, I don't need anything, I can just do whatever I want, we see this chaos erupting and exploding. But again, nobody wants to talk about that. We are dealing with the problem of evil. Okay, this is a country that was based on Judeo-Christian values. This country was based upon the understanding that there is an almighty God and that there are evil spirits and there is this battle between good and evil, and we need to be ready for that battle. We need to be dealing with this. We've lost that. Very few people even want to talk about that. Now check out this article here. National Catholic Register, March 2017. U.S. Exorcist says demonic activity on the rise. Indianapolis. There was an alarming increase in demonic activity being reported by those who work in exorcism ministry, said the exorcist of the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. Although steps are being taken to increase the number of exorcists, demand is still outpacing supply. Now think about this. If there's a greater call for exorcists and exorcisms in the world today, does that mean that the devil is more active? Father Vincent Lampert, who was interviewed for this article, said that the problem isn't that the devil has upped his game, but more people are willing to play it. He pointed to rampant pornography, illegal drug use, and the occult. Where there is demonic activity, there is always an entry point, he said. This is not being talked about anywhere. Now, it's not, again, just that you have more exorcisms because there are more possessions. You've got more interaction with evil. Even this guy that shot these students in Parkland, Florida, he's saying that he was hearing voices directing him to do this. Now, right away, the first response is going to be, well, that's obviously mental illness. The guy's got a mental health issue. That's where the problem lies. I'm not saying that that might not be part of the situation, but think about the reality. Christ himself dealt with exorcisms in the Gospels. Many times did he cast out demons. What in the world are we thinking? Will we not think for a moment that the devil is still active in the world? The further we move away from God, the further we are moving away from the grace of God, which is necessary to protect us from the influence of the attacks of the devil. This is not some horror movie or some ghost story. The fact that exorcists are talking about this should wake us up to the reality of this battle between good and evil and cause us to take more seriously what's going on here. Last October, Father Lampert met in Rome with the International Association of Exorcists, a group of 400 Catholic leaders and priests. It is a support group that meets every other year. According to him, the group members agree that there is a great need for more exorcists. Actual demonic possessions are rare, however. Father Lampert explained, I've only seen 3 possessions in the last 3 years, but there was also infestation, vexation, and obsession. The fact that earlier in the article he mentioned entry points. The more we play around with things that are sinful, obsessions with things, addictions, things such as pornography, gambling addictions, the video games that are being played out there where violence is so prevalent. You actually gain points in a video game for finishing someone off, killing someone if they're suffering, in some violent act that you've already committed. This is very common for a lot of our young people. College age, high school age, even some adults are playing these games on a regular basis. Not to mention the fact that we're obsessed and inundated and saturated with a world of athletics and sports, so much so that we have abandoned going to Mass faithfully on Sunday so that we can go play our games, take our kids to their tournaments, take our kids to their weekend events, and we say, God's going to understand because my kid has a commitment to the team. I have heard this. I have heard this for years as I've traveled around talking about this. The excuses that we have made, so why it's okay for us to turn away from God and turn to even things of the world that aren't necessarily evil, but we've allowed them to dominate our hearts. That domination of the heart is evil. In Possessions, Father Lampert said, "I've seen eyes rolled back in the head, throwing out obscenities, bodily contortions, foul odors, temperatures drop in the room, and I've witnessed someone levitating." That's the kind of stuff you hear about and see in movies. The fact that this priest talks about this is making it clear this is real. Down at the bottom of the article, Father Lampert says, if people would build up their faith lives, the devil will be defeated. I think Petty Armstrong, who wrote this article for National Catholic Register. But listen to that final line. If we build up our faith lives, the devil would be defeated. This is not what's being talked about in our world. So you know what? We can do all we want. We can enact stricter gun laws. We can deal with the mental health issues. Will this help? It might in some way, shape, or form. But evil will always find a way to cause destruction. Evil will always find a way to create havoc and chaos in this world. We need to get our act together and realize, first and foremost, where this battle needs to be fought. Laws are important. Discussing mental health is important. These things are important. They have their place. But first, this battle needs to be turned over to God and fast. Or we're only going to see things get a lot worse.